What's up, guys? It's John here. So basically last night, dude, I got an itch to do something with the scooter. So what did I end up doing? Well, I installed a Nibbi intake. Funny thing is that basically I had this intake just sitting here for the last few weeks, and I was gonna do it as part of like some overhaul or major modifications that I was gonna do to the throttle body, intake manifold, and all that stuff. But I decided to just try out the intake. As you guys can see, fits perfectly nice. Mounting brackets at the bottom. I do still gotta fix some of the vent hoses and things like that, but I'll get to that. What we're gonna do is I'll take you guys on a quick little ride, give you guys my thoughts about it, and basically how it feels and some of my concerns. So let's roll. So one thing I did notice is that the scooter does, or the intake does, give off a different sound, especially under acceleration. If you guys ever had one on your cars, same thing but on a smaller scale, because it's obviously on a scooter. Let's see here, let's go this way. Too hard on the throttle yet, trying to get the temperatures up and running. So by the way, whenever you guys do any kind of like airbox modifications, intake modifications, things like that, what it does is it changes the characteristics of the flow of air into to the motor, and what it can do is actually throw your air fuel ratios off. So usually an intake will actually cause the air fuel ratios to get a little bit more leaner, because more air is basically getting into the motor compared to fuel. What I'm hoping here, since this bike is EFI, that the EFI system is able to basically adjust itself, since it is, since EFI systems are able to adjust by a certain amount. Not a whole lot, but by a certain amount. Dude, I feel like it has a lot more power actually climbing this steep hill right here. I'm barely on the throttle. like it has more acceleration, especially in the mid-range. I don't know about the high range because, well, quite frankly, basically I got my roller set up like a tad under like 6k RPM. I haven't really pushed it too hard, as you guys can see. But yeah, so far this bike has been, the mod has been pretty interesting. Now, I'm kind of interested to see like what's gonna happen when it comes to the AFRs, you know, the air fuel ratios. But so far it's been idling normal. I do have that kind of like a gas Alright guys, so I basically pulled the plug after that ride. Rode about 20 miles, 30 miles, things like that, and check this out, man. It basically looks clean, dude. It looks new. It's a little bit of whiting, so that means that I'm most likely running lean. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna scrap the intake for now, shelve it, put on my stalker, and yeah, so it sucks. Anyways, hopefully that's helpful for you guys. Peace.